Welcome into the program. It is a Thursday edition. It's Orange Blue today. Cecil, Lammey, Andrew Mason, and the support of this team, Mace, has been outstanding for quarterback Bo Nix. And even though the record is 1-2, and even though a lot of Broncos country is, sad or disappointed, inside that locker room where you were today, and up at that podium where Bo Nix was today, you can tell this team is together, which says a lot of good things about what they can do going forward.
Together, upbeat, not at all downcast. Troy Franklin mentioned to me in the locker room that, when they're watching the film of Sunday's game, it's, they're correcting things, but it's not like they're getting eviscerated. It's, they're matter of fact about things, but the thing that he said is, hey, when it's great, it's not as good as you think. When it's bad, it's not as bad as you think. Like, that's sort of the way they're attacking this. And so, as frustrating as a loss like Sunday's might be, and as many things as there were that do frustrate you, that were within their control, it's important to say, okay, it's not as bad as it might seem. I think the panic button in the public is definitely being mashed far before it is being mashed in the locker room. And I think, and look, that's what matters. You don't want the players and coaches hitting the panic button like a lot of fans are. Let's face it. That's a good thing. You believe me, I don't think y'all out there want the team reacting the way a lot of you guys are right now. No offense.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, okay, we're entering week 4. And I think it's the way that they've lost the last 2 games, or last second. They led every second of the fourth quarter except for the final second. So, okay, we got it. And this team is together. And I've heard some rumblings about people thinking it's different, and I wanted you and I to squash this today. Like, it is, locker room is intact. And we have seen divided locker rooms. You and I have witnessed that. It's not even close to that with Bo Nix and his guys.
I mean, I was in there for 30 minutes today. It seemed just like normal. Guys chatting, guys, giving each other crap, just like any other day, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nothing out of sorts. Guys coming back in from practice in pretty good spirits. A lot of guys, when they were talking about last Sunday, taking responsibility, and just as you heard Sunday after the game, as you heard Monday, it's definitely the right mindset. Look, that mindset, Cease, it's why this team was able to bounce back last November from that crushing loss in Kansas City. That there are some Broncos teams that a loss like that would have completely broken them.
Oh, yeah.
And 7 days later, they played the best game that's been seen around here in a long time, the most complete game the Broncos have had in ages. So that sort of mentality, that sort of unity, that sort of resilience, I think it's going to serve them well. And also just that sort of even-keeled nature. And I think, like I mentioned with Troy Franklin, what he said, and I heard the same thing, something similar from Adam Troutman last week, the fact that they come in after a loss and make sure of saying, hey, it's not as bad as it might feel after a defeat, but then they also come in after a win and it's not as good as it might seem after you've got that high. So I think it's a very interesting and I think beneficial mindset with which they attack those things. That, okay, you win and maybe you might be coming in feeling great, but they kind of puncture that balloon a little bit after a win. But then the flip side of that is when you've lost and it could be devastating, okay, let's say it's not that. It's not as bad. There were these things that you can lean upon, and here's how you get better from that. And I think that helps you avoid going like this and instead keep it like this. And that allows you, I think, to, you don't have to, you don't end up going, you don't end up going on this roller coaster, which I think can get you in a lot of trouble. I mean, I think fans go on a roller coaster, but you don't want your team going on a roller coaster. You want your team more on something like this rather than the seismograph in an earthquake. You don't want that.
Yeah, and even keel. I've often said the best attribute of an athlete is to be able to perform at a high level with a calm mind.
Yeah.
So keep it calm, baby. Keep it calm.
Yeah, another thing that, and I'll probably play this clip, if not tomorrow, maybe I'll get into this on the Saturday show, but because there will be a Saturday show, there will be a Sunday show as we get into the game. Something that, Adam Troutman said, I actually asked him, say, because he was talking a lot about the penalties, and because, Trout's very self-aware, and he's talking about his own penalties that he's had the last couple of weeks. And so I said, okay, like, I asked him kind of, how do you get past that? Like, how long does it take you to kind of get it out of your mind? And he's like, hey, I can't dwell on that. If I end up lingering with that and thinking, oh man, the coach is going to get on me about this, then one penalty is going to become like 2, 3, 4 pretty quickly. Like I've got to be able to kind of close it off in my mind as quickly as possible, because I've got to go out there and play the next snap. That's the other thing. I mean, you got the mistake, but you can't linger on the mistake that you have. Bo's got, Bo misses a throw deep. He can't linger on that. Like, he can, after the game, we all saw if you read the lips, I had so many chances. Yeah, he can lament that in that moment, and he can lament it for the 24 hours, but it's the old 24-hour rule. You got to forget that. And I think the way he was up there today, he clearly gotten past that and had moved on.
Yeah, which is nothing but good news for the Denver Broncos. You and I have yet to talk about it, and I believe, and the question doesn't matter. This isn't anything. I think it was Luca. It might have been Mick. It was off to my right. Somebody had asked him about the words Sean Payton had, and did they create these expectations? Well, Mace, I've said it on the radio. I'll say it here with you and get your response. If words are creating too much pressure for your quarterback, he's not that guy.
Yeah.
You've got the guy with Bo Nix, and he answered the right way.
Yeah, and I think, you and I have talked about, the notion of putting the Super Bowl expectations into the public sphere. I still say it probably wasn't the wisest thing to go talking about that to reporters that came in from around the country and then doing so at the press conferences. That being said, I think he absolutely should have done that in the meetings. That's fine. Like if you get up there at the team meetings and say Super Bowl is the goal, the expectation, that's fine. I think you should be putting that in the team's minds right away. Okay, set that as the goal, set that as the expectation. I just think publicly the anonymous donors thing is sort of the way to maybe go about that. And I think that is also contributing to a lot of what fans are feeling right now. Mm-hmm. I think if there wasn't so much chatter from the head coach about Super Bowl, I think that the feeling in Broncos country might be a little different after these 2 losses than it would have been.
Right.
So I think Sean Payton has contributed to a lot of the emotions that people are feeling out there. But that doesn't affect the quarterback. So what would affect the quarterback is what's being said in the meetings. And the quarterback cannot be afraid of that sort of expectation. Like you said, if he blanches at that, then he is, like you said, he's the wrong guy. Like your quarterback cannot shrink at such chatter. He can't. If he's going to come up small because of that, then, and if he's going to wilt because of that, then, in the words of Mike Shanahan, you got to get another guy. But that's not something that I think is going to affect Bo Nix at all.
Bo Nix will not wilt. Let's hear about Bo talking about the locker room. It's a little bit longer quote, but again, just to further emphasize, and I don't know if this is getting public, but if there are rumblings, people trying to say locker room issue, zero. Squash it now. Zero.
That's complete grade A bull plot.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. That's absolute nonsense. But anyway, here's the long answer from Bo Nix, including him talking about the locker room and guys having his back. Here's Bo Nix. This was his last response at his press conference today. Here's Bo.
I'm in a great spot. I feel like I'm always going to leave plays out there, and that's why I'm going to keep stepping back up at the podium and having an answer for them. But, ultimately, you want to go out there and hit every single one of them. I've yet to actually play a game where I have hit all of them, so I'm working on that. But I feel confident that one day I can go out there and do it. That may be crazy on my part, but I truly believe it. And I know that the locker room's got my back, and we're all looking to find that rhythm in the right spot to where we're playing really good. We're being really efficient offensively. And the good thing is got a lot of those mentalities in the locker room to where, tight ends, receivers, O-line, we're all working on being as efficient as possible. So I think we're in a really good spot mentally because sometimes these games are important. It's not like we're getting blown out. We've played really good teams and we've led until the literal last play. So sometimes that's how the ball bounces, and you just got to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do to not only make your team better, but to grow as yourself. And, ultimately we're just here to win football games. And so you can throw everything out the window. All that matters is the end of the game. Did you win or did you lose, and how do you not lose the next time? So that's what we're focused on this week, is just finding a win.
There you
all
go.
Together. Yeah. And Mace, what's so awesome about that answer is when he's like, yeah, you're going to miss some throws. You can't hit them all. I think I can someday, though.
Yeah. I like
25
that.
of 25, right?
I mean, you keep pushing toward perfection, even though it may be attainable. You keep trying. Jeremy Crawshaw said something similar today in the locker room. Like, he knows the perfect game isn't happening, but you keep trying. That doesn't mean you don't keep pushing for that to be perfect. If you're always pushing to be perfect, then even it's the old you just keep doing that, you got a pretty good chance to have a great game, a successful game. I mean, to put it in Crawshaw's parlance, I mean, if he keeps pushing to be perfect, if he comes up just short of perfection, well, let's just take the last 3 games that he's had. That's pretty good. If he keeps punting the way he has the last 3 games, he might be here a long time as the punter. Like, if that's the Jeremy Crawshaw the Broncos are going to get for the next 3 years and 14 games of his contract, he will get re-signed. He will be here for the new stadium and beyond. Like, so that's what happens when if you're a perfectionist and you say, okay, I'm doing well, but I keep pushing for perfection, even though I may not get there. You're gonna land. You're gonna land in a pretty good spot if that's what you keep pushing for. So, I like that. I like that mentality. Hey, you might never get there, but that doesn't mean you don't keep trying for it. And with quarterbacks, at least there's a number where you could say, okay, you've got a perfect passer rating, right?
Right.
I mean, it may not be a perfect game because you might not, you don't have to be 25 of 25 to have a 158.3 rating. So there is a number at least Bo could hit where you could say he had a perfect game. And so.
I'm not going to say he's not going to hit it.
I mean,
he's the type of guy that one day in his career, he could have that 158.3. I could see it happening with Bo. And it's Sean's direction. Sean has that perfectionist kind of bug as well. And you strive for excellence. And in that, you're striving for perfection. But it's like Sean knows this team can be better. Bo knows the team can be better. I think he called it the thumb club. Like everyone in the locker room part of the thumb club. Like
as in instead of pointing out, doing this. It's not this, but this.
Don't point
That's
the
what
finger, pull the thumb.
That's what they're talking about. Like, it's, don't point out, turn to yourself. And it's something that we've talked about after these last couple of games. I mean, you go to Indianapolis, it would have been very easy for everyone to say, oh man, if Dondre hadn't been called for leverage, we win that game, right? Easiest thing, because you could, for everything that happened in that game, you could point to one moment and say, okay, at the end, if that doesn't happen, they're 2-0. But the culture that has been built in there left all those guys saying, it left J.K. Dobbins saying, man, if I hadn't spiked the ball. Right. Troutman saying, man, if I hadn't been called for that face mask. Bo, if I hadn't thrown that pick, right? It was all those guys that were doing this and saying, oh, I could have done something to prevent this. So they weren't saying, man, if Dondre hadn't screwed up there and gotten called for leverage. They weren't doing that. And, instead of pointing the finger, they were giving him a hug. And they were saying, man, I screwed that up too. I almost said the other word, right? They were
careful.
Like they were like, hey man, I did this. We're in this together, right? Mm-hmm. And the same thing happened last week. Like they were, you could look at, okay, you could say, okay, guys got beat on the last series, but you had penalties here, penalties there throughout the game. Why were the Broncos on offense always in third and longs? Okay, extending drives. I mean, Nick Bonito today. I mean, look, Nick Bonito, by a lot of objective measures, so far this season has been the best edge rusher in football. You can read my piece at denversports.com and you can see those numbers. Okay, today he's talking about the offside call that he had on special teams that extended a drive. All these guys are saying, okay, here's what I could have done differently, not what somebody else did. There's a great deal of accountability, even for guys who you could say, man, they're having great seasons. They're not responsible for this. But those guys are saying, hey, yeah, my fingerprints are on this. I could have done something differently. I could have done better. I could have done something better to prevent this loss. And that's a healthy thing. This is why Cecil at 1-2, even with things that, and there are concerns. I mean, hey, and I put it in my piece at denversports.com. It is fair to be concerned about the inside linebacker position because the metrics, the numbers there, man, it's rough, okay, for the two guys that are there. You could make an argument the Broncos are probably 32 of 32 at inside linebacker. But from what I see in terms of the way guys are responding to these two losses, in terms of how the locker room is still together, I'm not moving off my 11-6 pick. I'm just not.
Yeah, it's way too early to do just that. Before we get to the news of the day, let's hear a word from our sponsor.
Today's episode of Orange and Blue Today is presented by Ramos Law, the official injury law firm partner of the Denver Broncos. Ramos Law was founded by Dr. Joseph Ramos, an attorney and ER doctor, to provide exceptional care to those injured in accidents. With a unique understanding of both medicine and law, the Ramos Law team is built to fight for you every step of the way. Experience the Ramos Law difference. Contact them today at ramoslaw.com.
News of the day. Well, let's start with good news, right? Very good news. Evan Engram out there on the field. Full practice today.
Full. Can you believe that he went from not on the side field to full? I know they had an extra day, so this isn't Wednesday, but it's basically their Wednesday. Sean said as much as the podium. So it's like, hey, their first practice of the week, and he went from not even on the side field to full. That is not good news. That's great news.
That's a terrific news for him, and certainly a great sign for his potential availability on Monday night if you see him full today. It was 100% participation in terms of guys on the 53-player roster today. John Franklin Myers, the only guy who was even limited with a hip issue. But if you're out there, on a limited basis, but you're practicing on the equivalent of a football Wednesday, that's a pretty good sign that you should be good to go for the game. So JFM, I'm not real concerned about his availability for Monday night. So you've got the Broncos looking healthy there. Old friend Noah Fant, who's now with the Bengals, by the way, DNP out in Cincinnati today with a concussion. So keep an eye on that as well. Also, Shamar Stewart, DNP out in Cincinnati with an ankle injury that's been bothering him recently as well. So that's something to keep an eye on out there.
Yeah, and that's the thing with this team. It's like, okay, and by the way, Saturday's the day. For example, for Fant's concussion, does he go through the protocol? Is he out there Saturday? What can he do there? They still have Mike Gesicki, so even down Noah Fant, they'd have a talented tight end. And in talking to PS2 today, Mace, we heard him talk glowingly. I asked him about Jake Browning, and it's like they know. Yeah. They know Browning. Listen, Browning can throw in the Minnesota game. I want to caution Broncos fans. Don't take the Minnesota game and think that's who Jake Browning is. You and I have a healthy respect for that young man, and it sounded like PS2 did as well, because he's going to keep slinging it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if he throws picks. Browning's not going to go away.
He's not afraid, and he's a gunslinger. Now, that's why in terms of kind of backup fringe starter types, the comp here is Gardner Minshew, Ryan Fitzpatrick, as in he will take chances. He will give you some opportunities for plays. If you're PS2, yet you might salivate a little bit because there's an opportunity for an explosive play back in the other direction here coming in this game. He'll give you a chance. And he will roll the dice. There's a riverboat gambler in him. But this game, it would not surprise me at all, Cease, if the Broncos can't get some things remedied on the defensive side. And by the way, the word that I heard today from Nick Benito was exact. Like Vance Joseph, the point he was trying to make to his guys on Wednesday was that his defense needs to be more exact in terms of how they go about things. And Sean Payton kind of saying, talking about avoiding penalties, attention to detail. So I think that's kind of the theme of the week for the Broncos is exactitude, precision, attention to detail, getting the little things right. That's where they feel like they've lost these two games, is on the attention to detail and the little things. They feel like if they get those things cleaned up, that they can get back on the right track. Look, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Despite the 1-2 start, despite the trip to Philadelphia looming after this game, you can see 5-3 from here. They're still in pretty good shape. I think they're fine as far as where they stand. You're frustrated with the last two losses. I'm still concerned about the defense here in terms of if they can't polish up everything, if they can't get a bit more from the inside linebacker position, I don't think this D is going to be the top 5 unit that I think you hoped it would be.
Right.
And thus that changes the calculus of how you get the kind of success that you want to have this year. In other words, it means you're going to have to probably have some more shootout type of games. And in other words, that means Bo and company, they're going to have to step up on the other side. The other thing that has to happen, I think, is your running game has to get going so you can have some longer drives that can kind of protect this defense a little bit. Because it may not be that dominant group that you were hoping it was going to be. You've got some dominant individual players, but right now it doesn't look like a dominant collective. And so you have to adapt a little bit to where it's not that this defense can't be good. It's just right now with the issues at inside linebacker, I don't think it's going to have greatness in it for a while. Maybe it can once you get Dre Greenlaw back and healthy, and maybe that can unlock some things. But this defense has constituted right now, probably its ceiling is good, not great.
David talks about urgency. That's on Friday's show.
Yeah.
And I would say this, if that offense can come around, Mace, you know what that means. Some offense gets a 14-3 lead. Now as an offense, as an opponent, you have to go pass happy. Right into the teeth of Nick Benito and Jonathan Cooper and Jonah Ellis and Andrea Tillman. Good luck.
Look, here, the thing that the Broncos are doing better than anybody right now is pass rush. And it's not just Benito, it's Jonathan Cooper. And like you mentioned, it's Ellis and Tillman. They're all, if you go through the edge rushers in the NFL, the PFF data, they're all in the top 25% of edge rushers in pressure rate. So that's how good they are, all four of them. There's not a weak link in the bunch of those four. And then you stack on what Zach Allen is doing on the interior. Nobody's got a collection of pass rushers right now like the Broncos do. So this is exceptionally effective. And if the Broncos can operate from, like you said, a 2-score lead, it's pin the ears back, baby. And then you play the strengths. And then if they're getting a rush going and you get an errant throw, especially from a gunslinger who's going to take some chances, then it's going back in the other direction. So that's where, if the Broncos get out to an early lead, there is some blowout potential in this game if it starts to look like that. I mean, I don't want to get everyone too hyped up, but there is, if the game flows a certain way, it could look like that game in Minnesota last week. Could, if the Broncos can get an early lead and then pin the ears back. We'll see.
And Monday night, we'll be doing this. Just get a Broncos win, baby. Just get a Broncos win. Yeah. And we'll talk about it then and more. Feeling good. We got a Friday show for you, full disclosure, and I will not go into detail unless you're my family and you can text me. I'm on assignment tomorrow, and if I'm on assignment during the regular season, it ain't for vacation, okay? So just dealing with some stuff, we'll get it dealt with.
That's true for either of us if we're on assignment. It's not.
Yes.
It's
if you see something on OBT, it's alert time. So just I'm not gonna, I'm not going anywhere fun. So we'll take care of business, and I appreciate it, Mace. Appreciate all the kind thoughts out there from our viewing and listening audience as we continue to grow our channel here on YouTube. Andrew Mason, how do you believe that folks can help us out on YouTube?
Like,
comment,
share,
subscribe,
hit that notification bell
so that you never miss a vid. That's right. He is Andrew Mason. You follow him on all the socials at Mace Denver. I'm at Cecil Lammey saying OBT's a BFD. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned and stay frosty, please.
For over 20 years, my family, like so many of you, has proudly been part of Broncos country.
Every season, we feel the energy, passion, and commitment that defines this team.
And now we are honored to be the official injury law firm partner of the Denver Broncos.